All right, so this is our second day of indicator 14, and there's actually no new content. I just wanted to give you guys some extra examples and to make sure that we're okay with all three types of problems that you guys might see. So the first one I want to talk about is whenever both equations are solved for y. So this is like whenever you have them both in slope-intercept form. And I would highly recommend you guys adding these to your notes from yesterday. So you should have a total of what we did 4 in class. And so this will add 5, 6, 7. So you'll have 7 examples to use. So our first example that I want to go with today is the first equation is y equals negative 2x minus 7. And the second one is y equals negative 6x plus or minus 23. All right, so whenever you are solving this, what we are doing here is we are doing substitution. So if we know that y is equal to negative 2x minus 7, we can substitute it in for that y over here. So it becomes negative 2x minus 7 equals negative 6x minus 23. And if they're both equal to y, they have to be equal to each other, right? So we are just taking that whole expression, negative 2x minus 7, and plugging it in for y. All right, so now we can solve it. I'm going to add my 6x over to the left-hand side, and we get 4x minus 7 equals negative 23. Add my 7 over, and I get 4x equals negative 16. And then I'm going to divide. I'm going to run out of space, so I'm going to write my x value after I divide, because I'm dividing both of those by a positive 4, so I get negative 4. All right, then the last part, we have to pick an equation and plug in negative 4 for x. So I don't care if you use the top or the bottom one. I'm going to pick the top equation just because it's smaller numbers, a little bit easier to work with. So that negative 4, I'm going to then plug it in, substitute again. See why it's called substitution? We do it twice. So then that becomes negative 2 times negative 4 minus 7, which when we multiply we get 8 minus 7 and a y coordinate of 1. So on this one, our solution we always write as an ordered pair. X coordinate always goes first, and our y coordinate always goes second. And again, feel free to check those answers on Desmos after you are done solving. So once you find the x coordinate, you're simply going to plug it in. Just pick one of those equations. It doesn't matter which one. You will get one either way. And then we write our answer as an ordered pair. So all of your answers here should be coordinates. All right, so that is an example when both equations are solved for y. All right, so both equations are solved for y there. Now let's do an example where they aren't solved for y on both pieces. All right, so the first equation is negative 6x plus 7y equals 12. And the second one is y equals negative 5x plus 2. So this type, only one equation is solved for y. So we now know that that equation is solved. The bottom equation is the one that is solved for y because it says y equals. So we know that this expression, negative 5x plus 2, we can plug it in for y. So that top equation now becomes negative 6x plus 7. But where we had that y, we are now going to replace that with negative 5x plus 2, and then we know that equals 12. And we can solve it. So we're going to distribute this 7. Now this is a positive 7 because it said plus. If that had been a minus, make sure you distribute those signs. So we would get negative 35x plus 14 equals I made a mistake. I copied down the problem wrong. My bad. It didn't affect the substitution, but those are 14s. You'll understand why in just a second. All right, so whenever you have those 14s there, when you combine these two, it becomes negative 41x plus 14 equals 14. When I subtract this 14, I get a 0. 0 divided by anything gives me a 0. It is okay to have a 0 as an answer because whenever you graph, you can have an x-coordinate of 0. Now, your y-coordinate can be any number. Could be 0, but in this case, it's just not. So if we want to find out what y is, go back to that equation. It says y equals negative 5x plus 2, but now we know the value for x. We know that the value of x is 0, and anything times 0 is 0, and so that gives us a y-coordinate of 2. So if I were to graph these lines, the point of intersection would be at 0, 2. So that is an equation. When one equation is solved for y, one is not. We're simply taking that information that we know what y is, replacing it, and I'm putting parentheses around it because it's an expression and not just a number. It's always good to put parentheses around things when you're substituting. So we are going to substitute that, solve for x, and then plug it in. All right, and then our last example, this one actually I think is probably the easier out of the three, but sometimes I think people freak out and think that the easy ones, they've done something wrong. All right, this one is whenever you actually know what y is. You know a variable value. Guess what? We actually already know what y is. Y is 2. So we just have to find out x. So we actually know a number value for y. So this value of 2, we can now plug it directly in. 3x plus 5 times just a 2 equals 4. So then that becomes 3x plus 10 equals 4. Subtract 10 from both sides. And we get negative 6. So when I divide, I get negative 2. And then that goes right there. So we have an x-coordinate of negative 2, a y-coordinate of positive 2. It's a little less work because the answer for y has already been given to us. So you will have some examples that will involve some zeros. You actually had one on your homework. I will highly suggest to go back if you already submitted your Indicator 14 Day 1 assignment. This is Mrs. Walker. This is actually Monday after school. So as I'm recording it, I do want you guys to know that I have noticed those, that you've been turning those in today, which is absolutely fantastic. So before they are due, always go back, because do you guys know that I make comments sometimes on your submissions? So if you guys would open up that assignment, I have actually made some comments, and if you see any comments made, feel free to make those changes. So I will, obviously it's like 3:30 right now. Throughout the evening, I will be adding some comments, just telling you which numbers to fix. Like I might say, hey, fix number 2, or hey, fix number 4. Feel free to unsubmit those and correct them. So if you have any questions about a specific question, send me an email and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. If you have to submit it like a couple hours late, waiting on me to reply, that's totally okay. The assignments actually it's open until Thursday to make changes to those. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me. If you don't, feel free to start working on that Day 2 assignment. And then for your e-learning on Wednesday, you guys will be doing the review, and you have that choice to either do the live review or the worksheet on your own time. And that's totally up to you what you would prefer. If you join the live review, you do not have to do the assignment. All right, so I will see you guys all in person on Thursday, or virtual and quarantine people, I will be hopefully seeing you guys live on Wednesday, and I will talk to you all soon.